This video is for math for March 31st, Tuesday. What we're going to do is we are going to continue to talk about time and working with an analog clock. Yesterday what we did is we just were introduced to how to tell time to the nearest hour on an analog clock, and we talked about the two different hands and the purpose that they have. So we're going to do a little bit of a review. Remember that while you're doing this, if you're with someone, pause the video and you can talk to them like a think, pair, share in class. And you can unpause it to answer the questions, and you'll hear me actually give you your responses. And if no one's with you, you should still be pausing the video, and you can answer out loud, or you're in your head and just check for understanding, and then you can play the video afterwards. So a little bit of a review. Here we have our analog clock, and on the analog clock there are two hands. We have this shorter hand and the longer hand. The shorter hand is red. So this shorter hand right here, what does this represent? What is this always telling us? The shorter hand's telling us the hour. Then we have this longer one right here, the blue one. What does that represent? This longer hand represents the minutes. So a clock, you'll probably have heard the term moving clockwise. A clock will always have the hands move in one specific direction, which will look like this. And as we see, our minute hand is moving all the way around the clock. The red, shorter hour hand is also moving at the same time, just slower. And once the minute hand goes all the way to the 12, we're in a new hour. And our hour hand has already moved all the way around to the next number. So right now, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock. My hour hand is on the 6, my minute hand is on the 12. And I'm going to continue moving it. And we're going to get moving to the next hour, and look at that hour hand and how it's slowly moving. And it almost looks like it's on that 7, but it's not quite there. And then all of a sudden, I'm at 12 and 7. The time is 7 o'clock. So what we're going to do today is we're going to focus a little bit more on this minute hand and being able to tell time to the nearest minute now. If you look on a clock, and not all clocks look the same, but most clocks are going to have the large numbers. And we learned how we can use that to tell time to the nearest hour, but these can also represent minutes. On my clock, you'll see I have these little dots, and each one of these dots, and on another clock it could be a tick mark, it's going to be something. These each represent 1 minute. So every time this minute hand is moving, it's representing 1 minute. So right here, we were at 7 o'clock, and now my minute hand has moved to the first tick or mark. So now this represents 1 minute. So we're still in the 7 o'clock hour, and it's been 1 minute. So the time is 7:01. If it continued to the next one, it would be 7:02. 7:03, 7:04. Now what time is it now? 7:05. We can also see that this number 1 is a large number, and it also represents 5 minutes. So since we can skip count by 5s, instead of actually counting every single mark, when my minute hand is all the way down here, I could just skip count by 5s. So I know I'm in the 7 o'clock hour still, but I can skip count by 5s. I start at my 12, 5, 10, 15, 20. It's 7:20. Okay, so we can use these large numbers to skip count by 5s, and then also count these little tiny marks to count by 1s. This is something we're going to be practicing all week. So today is just an introduction and a little bit of practice to it. I want you to pause the video if you need to and get out your Ready book, your Ready math book, and go to page 214. What we're going to do is we're just going to go through the first couple problems together like we would be doing in class, just to practice. So I'm going to set up my analog clock like you are seeing on your Ready book in page 214. And let me get it to about where it looks like it's at. Okay. So this should be what you're seeing in your book. So we're going to go over the questions. For A, it says the shorthand on the clock shows the hour. We already know that. What is the last number the shorthand moved past? So I want to know what it moves past. Remember, clockwise is always going this way. So right here, if it's going to continue to go this way, what was the last number this hour hand passed? So the last one it passed was 8. So we're going to write that down. If I went back in time, that's where it was, but it went past it. So the last number it passed was 8. For B, the long hand on the clock shows the minutes. We know this. What is the last number the hand moved past? So look at it. Remember, it's going clockwise, so the last number that it passed was 6. Okay? It did not get to the 7 yet. C, you can count by 5 to help figure out the number of minutes. We already know that. Each mark is 1 minute. We know that too. Every 5 marks, there is a number. If the long hand is exactly on the 6, how many minutes past 8 is it? So I'm going to move my long hand back to the 6. We're still on that 8 o'clock hour because it has not yet hit the 9. How many minutes past 8 is it? So I just want to know how many minutes. We go start at the 12. Let's skip count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it is 30 minutes past 8. Another way to say that is 8:30 or 30 past 8. Same thing. D, the long hand is 2 small marks past the 6. So this is kind of hard to see. So it's 2 marks past the 6. I'm going to try to get it to stay there. Explain how you can find the time of the clock shown. So, excuse me, pause the video when you need to. How can I figure out this time? Tell someone next to you or write it down, and then you can pause to check. How can you tell the time? So I can tell the time by figuring out what hour I'm in first. I can tell I'm in the 8 o'clock hour because the hour hand has not yet hit this 9. I can figure out what the minute is by starting at my 12 and skip counting till I get to the number 6. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And now I'm going to count by ones. 31, 32. So the time now is 8:32. So I skip count by 5 to be more efficient. And then I counted by ones till I got to where the hand was. And that's how I know what time it is. On your next page on 215, yes, on 215, you're going to see there's just some more practice telling you how to tell time. You can go ahead and do this by yourself or with someone in your house. And I want you to do the reflection on the bottom, telling you, it says, sometimes a clock does not have numbers at all. Look at the clock below. It only has small marks and large marks. How could you tell what time that is? So write down an answer or talk to someone. You don't need to submit that in Google Classroom, but I want you to go ahead and just read the page on 215 and work with someone at your house on that. And then go ahead and complete the task that you're seeing in your lesson plan that I sent to you guys, okay?